What's up, everybody? Welcome to the PhD podcast. My guest today is the world famous Hightower.
Hi, everybody.
So, appreciate you coming out today. It's sort of weird to sit and talk to you like this.
I know.
We spent 2 hours talking already, right? But this is my second podcast, and I appreciate you coming out and sort of supporting us here. We met, I think, almost like a year ago, right?
Yeah, our first shoot was the first week of May 21. I don't know why I know that, but it was the first week of May.
Oh, so we're almost at a year.
We're almost at a year, which is crazy. I feel like I've known you way longer than that.
Did you see that picture I sent you with the top performing posts?
Oh, yes. And it was the photo,
it's
yeah?
Still.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was a pretty big deal. That was a published picture. Was that your first published?
That was my first ever publication, yeah.
Wow. That's crazy.
Yeah, that's crazy.
And we had just met.
Literally. First time shooting, literally.
I think we had talked a week before that, right?
Yeah.
Hey, do you want to go shoot? Okay. And they just
came
out. They were shooting a rap video there.
Yeah. It was really random, but I didn't have my son, and it ended up working out good, so yeah.
That's pretty cool. And so what have you been doing since then?
Oh man, since then a lot. Modeling has actually I feel like 2021 was my by far biggest modeling year.
Yeah.
So definitely around the time that we shot, I had started getting picked up by a lot of different local and then also some out of state photographers. And yeah, 2021 my modeling really took off tremendously. So since then I've been pretty much booked and busy. I mean, I feel like it's so hard to get me in the same room because I'm just so busy all the time.
Yeah, it is. I don't know which mode to send you text messages, so often I just send one a day to each different modes: Instagram, Facebook.
Yeah.
Actual text messages.
Yeah, I'm bad about answering actual texts because so many people text me that way. But I have your posts and Instagram notifications on.
Oh, is it?
When a couple people I do, you're one of them. So it tells me if you DM me. So I feel like I message you back more on there way quicker than texts. Because yeah.
So when we met, you were at 21,000 followers, right?
Yes.
And what are you at now?
I think 52, 0.2, something like that.
So for aspiring Instagram influencers, models, what sort of advice would you give them to? Because that's pretty big growth between almost a year.
Yeah,
you've gone up
sure.
30,000.
Yeah. I would say, I feel like everyone says this, but it's so accurate, is consistency. First off, you have to be very consistent to organically grow. And I think that's on any platform, whether it's Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, because I do all of those, is consistency. But consistency without giving up all of the quality, if that makes sense. Quality does matter. You want your page to flow well and to have a good vibe. I'm not saying it has to be a strict layout. My page definitely does not have a layout. I definitely post what I want to post, but in terms of quality, if the quality isn't good, I will not post. So I'm not gonna lie, it's hard because you have to be consistent. I would say at minimum posting 3 times a week minimum, and that's just on your main feed. Stories, you should be on your stories every single day. In my opinion, you should have, in studies, you should have 6 to 8 stories per day. And then a week, about 3 posts per week. That's considered your basic, bare minimum, influencer, I would say. And that'll help you grow, but definitely going above and beyond to make your page stand out. That's going to help you grow even more, for sure. Yeah.
So with all of those requirements that you kind of adhere to grow your page, do you plan those out? Do you use any sort of apps to help plan it out, or you just sort of go with the flow?
So kind of what works for me, I have tried out different types of apps and stuff that you actually can go in, lay out all your posts and pictures. For me, it was more work than helpful just because, influencing and modeling isn't my full time. So what works best for me, and I think is such an underrated Instagram feature, is the draft mode. Mm-hmm. Because the draft mode, yes, it's your drafts, but if you put those drafts in the order you're going to post, it'll lay them out how it's going to look on your page, essentially. So I do plan out my posts for the week because typically I do have quite a bit of content. So I have a planner, And with the planner, I sit down at the beginning of every week, so like on Sunday night, and I kind of write out what I'm going to be filming, especially for YouTube. This is really helpful. So what I'm going to be filming and posting on, or if it's photo shoots, on each day. And I do that every Sunday night. It's kind of like my little ritual. And then I will go in my draft mode, make sure that those posts are ready. I do everything besides the caption, because unless it's like a sponsored post, then I'll know what I'm going to say. But on the captions, I like to wait until like day of and genuinely how I'm feeling, and I'll do my caption based off of that. But yeah, so I plan my posts out typically, I would say weekly, bi-weekly, but my stories is 100% authentic. Like, that's where you're going to get really like day by day Brie. Again, unless it's like a sponsored story, like something I know, okay, this week I need to talk about this, product or this post, but normally I'll try and even incorporate those into like my day-to-day, so it's more authentic. Because yeah, you want to be authentic, because if you're not, people can tell for sure.
So that's your overall plan to get where you need to get, right?
Yeah, for sure.
Is it stressful?
Yes, but it's only stressful because you put yourself at the ridicule and judgment of like the general public. I think that's, in my opinion, the only thing that makes influencing, or I hate calling it influencing, but
that's what it is, right?
So yeah, social media, even modeling, like the only part that makes it stressful for me is I'm always nervous, like, okay, how is this gonna come across, or I hope they like this,
right.
And it's hard when you are genuinely trying to be yourself, because it can get in your head a little bit,
right.
Like for sure.
So for the newer models out there, as a photographer, I get questions like, should I get an agent? Should I not get an agent? You get paid for your work pretty
Mm-hmm.
often, and because I know some of the bigger campaigns that you've done, you did pretty well, right?
Mm-hmm.
Do you ever think about getting an agent, or would you recommend getting an agent?
I have thought about getting an agent. I have like dipped and dabbed in working with agencies, not on like a super strict like contract level, but just they'll kind of go out and get me bookings, and then I get paid through them. But and this is just personally me, I have no issue with reaching out to brands. Like in the beginning I started out, I reached out to all the brands pretty much. Now, yes, a lot of them are reaching out to me, but I have no issue with negotiating, speaking for myself. I'm an extroverted person, as you know.
Right.
So for me, it works. The only thing that I did kind of, I guess you'd say, like, broadcast out is I had a professional, like, legal advisor write me up, like, the contracts for, like, brand deals that I use. I didn't write that. I had, like, a professional legal advisor write up that contract, and then I just go in and update it, like, as needed per brand.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of, like, prices, talking to brands, talking to photographers, I'm just comfortable doing that. But I could understand if, as an aspiring model or influencer, if you're not, mostly for model, because if you're an influencer, you're probably at least able to kind of talk to people.
Right.
But if you're like strictly just, on the modeling side of it, I would get an agent if you can't speak for yourself, I would say adequately, and also like be able to know what you are and are not willing to do. Because as you know, that's a really big thing with like model photographers. Like, you need to be able to clearly say, this is what I'm comfortable with, this is what I'm not comfortable with, and stick to it, and not feel like scared of
right.
that. So
I watched a couple posts, of models who have felt pressured or issues with dealing with photographers.
Mm-hmm.
If a new photographer approaches you, how do you approach the new photographer, or do you even work with new photographers now?
So, yes, I definitely do still work with new photographers.
Hold on, let me preface. I don't mean by a new, professionally, new to you. Somebody you haven't worked with before.
New to me. So kind of the way I will vet photographers, so yeah, I have a process. Let's just say that. I have a process, because kind of like you just said, so you have your new photographers, like new to photography in general, and then you have your just photographers who aren't new, are experienced, and have worked with maybe people you know or don't know, but you just can tell they're not new, that are new to me.
Mm-hmm.
I won't lie, I vet those differently. So if I can tell it's kind of like a newer photographer, when you get to a certain level, and this is going to sound how it sounds, you do have to kind of be picky about who you're shooting with, because you now, like, I have my face as my brand, and
mm-hmm.
I have to be picky of that. So if it's a newer photographer that, first thing I'm looking at is okay, does this person fit my brand?
Mm-hmm.
I kind of know what sells for me and what my brand is. If they're totally like off brand for me, the first thing I'm gonna start asking is, okay, like what are you looking for? Are you looking to pay me to model? Because then typically, as long as I'm feeling comfortable, normally I'll set up some sort of like visual like FaceTime or Zoom call before I ever meet with that person. Mm-hmm. And even sometimes I'll make sure they're comfortable with me bringing like someone with me. If they're totally new, like I have no clue who they are, then that's my process. Now, if this person is like a more well-established photographer, not only that, if they fit my brand, like they're on brand for me, I'll ask them, same thing, do you want to, is this a collaboration or are you trying to pay me? And then, depending on going back and forth and how I'm feeling on the person, I'm really big on just like energy.
Yeah.
And if I feel like our energy is matching, then, I typically always still will set up some sort of like, even if it's a phone call, something that's not via text. Because texting, can be hard to gauge.
Yeah,
as
sure.
I'm sure you know. I feel like you're like a horrible texter, actually, Marcel.
I'm not a great.
You're just dry as hell. You're so dry. And then like on the phone, like I'll be like, oh no, you feel this way, and like, So yeah, that's kind of like my vetting process is, I'm big on energy, and then I want to see what you're looking for. Are you looking to collab? Because at the level that I am at, I'll be quite frank, I have to feel like I'm also gaining from that collaboration in some way. Because typically you're going to gain from me in at least one way,
Right.
So if it is a collaboration, which I won't do too many of, I only collab with people that like I already have a professional, like you know what I mean? Like as of right now, it's mostly just like paid bookings, and then we can work our way up into something, unless, like I said, it's someone like already like in my niche, established, and we're gonna kind of help each other. Then
Right. So I follow you, and I like reading your stories.
Mm-hmm.
You put everything out on your stories. Like
Yeah.
there's not really much you hide in your stories at all. Does that ever take any sort of emotional toll, or is that sort of your outlet?
I would say both. So it's actually something that this year I've worked on.
Not doing as much?
Not doing as much. And the reason is, Instagram, I love the close friends feature, which you're on my close friends, so
I know.
you know more than the general public.
Okay.
But still, no, I still share a lot of my life, like with the
it doesn't really
general
update
public.
us. Like we don't. The only way I knew that I was on the close friends is because you had said this is for the close friends. I'm like, oh, cool, I'm on the close friends.
Yeah, so, well, you know that it does tell you, right?
Where does it say that?
So, when you look at someone's story, if the bubble is green, you're on their close friends.
Oh, okay.
If the bubble is like the standard Instagram, I'll show you after this.
Okay.
If it's the standard Instagram, like it's like a pink color, you're not on their close friends story.
Okay.
So that's kind of how I'll show you, but yeah, no, so I will say, it does take a toll. So social media is like an outlet for me. Like for sure, if it wasn't an outlet, I wouldn't do it. Anyone that knows me, like my family, they're not shocked that like I do this now for like a side hustle, or because I've always been very like extrovert, very like open and honest like with my life. And I feel like it helps people because sometimes you could think you're going through something and you're alone because and then there's 1,000 other people feeling the same way,
right.
And you never know. So I genuinely use social media as like kind of like a diary, an outlet. However, once I started really growing outside of like people in Phoenix that, at least like know me a little bit in person maybe, or people that know me back in my small hometown, it comes with a lot of judgment and a lot of like ridicule, and it can make you scared to share like more of your life. You have to have really like thick skin. And as you know, I'm kind of like an emotional person. Right. So I wanted to find a way to kind of dial back a little bit, still being like honest and authentic, and like letting people know kind of like what it is, like what I'm going through in my life, because that's why you follow people, is because you resonate with them in some way. Something that they do is why you follow them typically. But I will say, I did have to dial back a little bit, which is why I was thankful for that feature Instagram made, where I still had a safe place and an outlet of people that I felt like were non-judgmental,
right.
who I could still like kind of have that safe space with. But it just got to a point to where it was so many random people, and I hate to put it that way, but just people who are supporters and loving, but sometimes you don't have loving, supporting people all the time following you,
Right.
you know, and it does take a mental toll, like, absolutely, like,
Right.
100%.
Right. So, knowing that it, you know, I don't particularly know well, I kind of know your dating situation, and we're not going to go too much into that. But does your sort of Instagram fame have any sort of toll on your current relationships?
Yes. So, okay, and I'll say this because, like, everyone on Instagram knows by now. Yeah, so if you are new to, like, the Brie of, you know, this is Marcel's podcast, so if you're new to this, so I'm, like, neck deep in a divorce right now. And, yeah, social media was a huge factor. When you do what I do, I'm not gonna lie to you, it takes a like really supportive partner, because you're literally broadcasting pretty much like your whole life, and if you're not with someone that understands that, and also like low-key kind of like is like supports that and doesn't mind their lives being broadcasted, especially as a model. And anyone that follows me knows, like, I'm more of like a risque model. Like, I'll be like half naked online, like, that's not always easy. And I'm not saying it should be, like, as someone's full wife, like, you know, it's okay to have, like, boundaries and standards, but, you know, I got married super young. I was 19. And I'm definitely, a totally different person at 24 than I, you know, was at 19. And my page did go in a total different direction. Social media plays a huge part. You know, your partner, definitely have to have, like, strict, like, okay, this is what I'm comfortable with, this is what I'm not comfortable with. And over the years, that can change. Like, I tried the whole, like, wear dresses and
I saw those photos. I'm like, who is that person?
Yeah, so summer of 2020, my ex-husband had really wanted me to, like, go a different direction, like, with my page, and I tried, like, the whole, like, mommy vlogger thing, like, where I was, like, sharing, like, Starbucks drinks, and like, I started, like, trying to, like, you know, wear, like, the trendy little fall out fashion, and it just wasn't me. Like, it wasn't me. Like, I like to be, like, half naked. Like, that's just how I am. And so, yeah, and no, it definitely, which is sad. It's sad to say that, like, social media, like, had a part in, like, quite frankly, like, my marriage failing. Obviously, there was a ton of other stuff that goes into that. We won't get into that. But I would be totally, like, lying to myself if I said that me on social media didn't play a part, because it absolutely did. And so now, when the time does come, you know, and I have a new partner, like, I have to really make sure that person, like, knows, like, what I do and is okay with it, because to some people it's just like, oh, it's social media, stop doing that. Well, to me, it's more than just social media. It genuinely has grown to a community of people that I appreciate, and that I've grown to, like, even with the stress that can come with it, that I've grown to love. And it's a way that I share me and who I am, and, you know, it's an outlet, and I quite frankly would not want to give it up.
One thing I think is real admirable about you, and I have I have two daughters. One's older and well established on her own, but I have a younger daughter. And so she will watch me do edits, and it's important for me to show her before and after. And there's a big push on social media now for well-established models to sort of show this. We don't look like this all the time, right? Mm-hmm. And admirable of you is a lot of times you go on there and you don't give a fuck. Yeah. Like, you show you all natural in your, you know, and you talk about, you know, you talk about you're not happy with your body in certain ways, mm-hmm. but you still go on social media, no makeup on, natural hair, mm-hmm. and that's real admirable, because I think there is a lot of these younger girls have to see that side of it, because I'm part of it. You know, on my social media, the girls look perfect. That's my goal, is whenever I do a photo shoot, to make them look perfect. But that's the fashion industry. That's not real life. Mm-hmm. Do you ever get anybody messaging you, or do you purposely go on social media natural, or do you not even think about it? You just sort of be you?
I would say, so do I purposely go on social media natural? Yes and no. And the reason I say yes and no, So I feel like in the modeling industry, especially me, more risque, like bikini, lingerie modeling, everyone is oversaturated with like edited bodies. Like there are literally almost I'll be blunt, a lot of photographers, you're like one of like maybe two that I don't have to say like, hey, like don't edit my body. Like can we not edit my body?
I don't edit bodies ever.
Yeah.
Unless somebody specifically asks me to. And even then I don't like to, I like to keep my edits as natural as possible while still adhering to perfection.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Well, I think that's really important because like it can get in your head. It really, especially in today's society, like we live in a society where you can literally go out, and this is no shade at all. I have tons of friends that have like fake bodies, literally ton. And we live in a society where like it's so easy to go out and just like buy the fake body or like just go literally edit the fake body. And I 100%, I will be totally open and blunt on this. I would be lying if I've said that I have not hit points in my career where I have like edited like myself in pictures. Like it has definitely happened before. I think a big thing was once I had a child and I really saw like what that does like to your body and also just to like your mental state, especially as someone that was like before I had my son and even after I had my son, my whole page was fitness. Like before before him I really didn't even model like how I do now. My whole page was strictly fitness pretty much. So going from that, I really saw like a need for just like more like realness, like real posts. And don't get me wrong, like I still go to my photo shoots, and yeah, in my professional shoots I do expect to look like, I'm not gonna lie, like pretty flawless, and my shoots like, you know, touched up, like everything to look good. But that is why I still think it's so important. Like my Instagram page isn't curated to just professional shoots or just brand deals. It's more curated also too. I do have a lot of like where I'm just taking the photo or like workout videos, or that's why I am really big on like talking on your story, because I'll talk on my story in a face full of makeup, or I'll talk on my story when I first woke up. And it's important to also realize without filters. It's so easy to like always, like me, sometimes I have to check myself. I'll be like, oh, like just woke up, but I have a filter on. And then I will literally go back and be like, wait, like I have a whole filter on this story right now. And then I'll go back and redo it. Because, I don't know, I just think, like I have a son, so it's different. But like if I had a daughter, like it would be so hard to have, like you know, growing up with like all these perfect, because I'm 24 and I definitely still wake up sometimes like, oh my goodness, this girl is so perfect. Her body is so amazing. And then I'll meet them like out for like hostings or in a club, and I'm gonna be blunt. I'll be like, she looks like me. Like we look the same. Like it's not even you know. And you know it's really harmful, to be honest with you. It can be really harmful. Yeah.
All right, folks, we're gonna take a quick break, get some water, and we'll be right back with you. Where were we?
Oh Lord. I was talking about the last thing you asked me was. Because I do show a lot of like my natural, like how I look naturally, if it's ever like hard to like be like that and not just always look like perfect online.
Do you think that as you grow, and do you feel any sort of responsibility for newer models or how people perceive you?
Yes and no. I would say the only I don't feel responsibility, because I feel like if you put that on your shoulders with social media, you literally will drive yourself crazy if you care about every little thing that everybody says, because there's people that, you know, take offense to anything that you do, quite literally. But the only, I'll say, responsibility I feel like I do have is letting people know that what you see on social media is not the 100% clear picture of a person. Right. Because I think it's really easy to say like, oh, I know Bree. Well, how? From her Instagram, you don't know Bree. You know, right. and I'm someone that is super transparent on my Instagram, but you still you don't know me if you know me from Instagram, and that's just me being real. So imagine someone that isn't transparent at all on Instagram, like, you know, like these big celebrities, because they really can't be, probably, without, you know, like let's use someone like Kim Kardashian, right? She probably can't be even half as transparent as she is, because she has a whole label and team and brand behind her. So I can't imagine, like, that's why people like that I quite literally have like empathy for, because I can't imagine being like a celebrity of that like stature, because just someone like me, like just, you know, known like here in Arizona or maybe like West Coast, it gets stressful. It's really stressful, actually.
Yeah, as I grow, and I'm an introvert, so we're exactly the opposite in terms of how we deal with it. So there's times where we're like, oh, you know, I'm at a fashion show or something. It's like, oh, you're Marcel Visuals. Yeah, I am. They're like, oh, I follow you. I'm like, all right.
It's really awkward.
Yeah, I'm just not good in those situations. And then, you know what I mean? And so people give you like these comments and they're like, you know, you're really, you try not to let it get to your head. And that's like for me, I'm just socially awkward that way. And so I don't really, you know, a lot of photographers and maybe even models get it. We call it imposter syndrome. Mm-hmm. And a lot of people don't know what that is. A lot of photographers feel it, where you just don't really ever feel your work's good enough. Mm-hmm. Or that you're going to be found out one day or whatever it is. And so when people come up and comment like that, it's just really like, oh, how do you, and you were prior military. It's the same feeling I get when somebody says thank you for your service.
Yeah, you like don't know what to say. It's like, you're welcome.
You're like, right?
Yeah, you don't know what to say.
I'm just like, I just say thank you, but I'm just like really awkward with it. Like,
yeah, because you want to be humble.
Well, most people, like, especially when you go in the military, you're not going in because you want somebody to thank you.
No.
You know,
yeah.
I mean, we've all run into that one person is like, thank me for my service, right?
Yeah, but majority is like we're going in to help ourselves, to benefit ourselves, you know. So it's like, yeah,
it's not a completely altruistic type of endeavor. I mean, you want to serve your country, but you also want something out of it. But it's just a weird feeling, and I can't imagine, because you go out like you go, and so you know, how do you deal with that? Like if somebody comes up and it's like, oh, when they think, you know, I mean,
so it happens a lot. I will say when I was married, it was worse to navigate, because especially with him, like, it was really overwhelming for him to like have people be like, oh, like Bree, like, you know, you're Bree, or people that just in the modeling industry, or people that, like you said, I don't know, who are like, oh, like, you know, you're Bree Hightower, blah blah blah, and like they'll talk to me. It's a bit easier now because I don't have any, like, I can just like be like, oh hey, and we can like get pictures. I don't have to worry about someone else like next to me being uncomfortable,
right?
Or just being like, it's a weird situation, right? I'm pretty chill with that. I think I handle it like, you know, pretty well. The only awkward part is when they're like, oh, look, I follow you, and I don't follow them back, and they'll like want me to follow them like right there. I've had that where they're like, wait, are you gonna follow me? And like, I don't follow everyone that follows me back, because I just don't. That's just not, you know, I follow who I want to follow. So I appreciate like them following me, and especially if they're like someone that's like commenting and sharing and engaging, like I appreciate that so much. But yeah, that's the only time it's awkward, if they like want me to follow them back like right there. I'm like, because I'm super humble, like I still like, because in my eyes, like 50,000 followers, like, don't get me wrong, I'm grateful for it, and it's gotten me more like, you know, brand deals, which is more money. But like, I don't know, I just do, like, there's people with millions and millions of followers, like, so to me, I still feel like it's like, okay, like, I'm doing great for myself, which I'm only in competition with myself. But I've really tried to take, since, okay, when I lost my Instagram page. I have to transition to this because this is important. Like, when I lost that page, I had like a full-on identity crisis. Like, seriously. Like, I did not realize how much self-worth I put on Instagram followers. And that's taking me some time to say. Like, I had to really humble myself. Quite literally, I think I actually had told my friends, like, I ain't shit now, like, I don't matter, like, I'm not gonna get any bookings. People were like, Bree, you're still you, like, you still are, you'll build it back. But I actually think, like, losing my page, I was able to get it back by the grace of God, thankfully. But I think losing my page, even though I'm still dealing with the, like, repercussions of that, was honestly, like, a blessing. Like, it needed to happen, because I think it made me stop looking as much of, like, okay, followers, to, okay, like, the people that are here, like, are they enjoying my content? Like, are they seeing my modeling? Like, am I still getting bookings? Like, are people laughing? Are people coming to my page and laughing and feeling like, empowered and good about themselves, or are they coming here and like it's just like, oh, let me scroll past another, you know?
Right.
So it was a good thing. Like I kind of needed it.
So did you make any sort of mental changes since then? So like, let's say tomorrow you lost your page. Do you think you'd be in a better space?
I would. Would I be upset? Yes, because growing on Instagram, like money goes into that just naturally from like, you know, buying out clothes and outfits and makeup and doing your hair.
When we went on like a spree of like 4 or 5 shoots, like within the span of a couple months.
Yeah.
And every single time you bought new outfits. So
yeah.
I think I think a lot of people need to know that just because you're doing a free shoot where you're not paying me, I'm not paying you, it's not free.
No.
You know, I mean, if you take it seriously, right?
Yeah.
You know, I've reached out to models before and I have the concepts. And so for me, my requirement is like my concepts that I have, I'm going to show you and you have to get those outfits.
Yeah.
If you don't get those outfits, then we're not really doing the shoot.
Yeah.
I don't get anything out of it. And that's never been a problem. Like models who really take, and I don't like to say the word free because it's not. Mm-hmm. Like my time is valuable, your time is valuable, right? Mm-hmm. But let's just say free, right? Nobody's getting paid. Models who take that seriously get called back by photographers like myself.
Yeah.
Models who don't take it seriously, it's not, you know, you get hit with there's that joke that you get hit with the rates, mm-hmm. right? And that's a fact. It's not, so you put a lot of energy into it. And I think a lot of people need to know that if you're contacting Bree as a photographer, you need to have, and you're not expecting to pay her, you need to have your shit together. Like you have to have like concepts, you have to have ideas, because you're going to go out. Like I remember when we did the wings concept, right? Mm-hmm. I spent $100 on the wings. You spent a couple $100 on all your outfits.
Yeah, I bought a new wig for that.
Like
yeah, it definitely adds up, like you said, especially if you're like, especially just starting out modeling. Like at this point I have like people I can call. Like I have a stylist I can call. Like I have like 3 different hairstylists I can call that will like, I'm like, hey, I have like a free, it's like a collaboration, they'll do my hair. I have an MUA who's like, oh, it's a collab, like, hey, I'll just come do your makeup.
Let's
like,
give a shout out to your
yeah,
MUA.
to Angel Bree MUA. Yes, that is she's literally my like only makeup
She's
artist.
the only I met her at the content shoot, and me and her had talked, and I think the first thing I had her do was, I feel like it was your birthday shoot.
It was, yeah. So me and Angel met because you were like, hey, I have an MUA that's gonna do your birthday makeup. And if y'all know me, I'm real big on birthday shoots. Like I take them real seriously. And yeah, that's when so I haven't even known Angel for a year yet. That's insane, because we're like really good friends now at this point.
She's the only one I trust. Like
yeah,
I don't have my trust circle is very tiny, and she's always fire.
Since I've met Angel, I have let 2 other people do my makeup, and it was for paid gigs.
Yeah,
they had their own.
They had their own. She's one of the best.
She is,
and she's just a good person in general. I can't say enough about her. She's I have a big shoot coming up on Sunday. Mm-hmm. Me and the model have been sort of planning it out. Mm-hmm. And so when I say that, I put, these shoots are not free, right? Mm-hmm. And as a photographer, I put a lot of pressure on the model to bring her A game. Yeah. So this shoot, I showed her a hairstyle, so she's getting a hairstylist. And she liked the hairstyle, so she's getting a hairstylist. We have a makeup concept, so she's getting the makeup. We had to push back the shoot several times because she was getting her outfits. Yeah. And it's going to be a dope shoot. We've done the same thing, you and I. And mm-hmm. I think models out there, they have to know, like, if you want to get top tier photographers and you don't want to pay for it, come with cool concepts and bring your A game. Mm-hmm. Because if you do, they're always going to, like, I'm always going to call. Like, if I have I just hit you with a concept for a video.
Yeah. And I'm not saying, like, you have to, like I said, I've been modeling, like, seriously since 2017. That's what, like, 5 years at this point. And I just in 2021 am now able to come to like photographers or come to like bookings and stuff and have like a makeup artist and have a stylist and have like, you know, that type of stuff to really take me to like the next level. That took 5 years. So again, like I feel like it's important like to know, I'm not saying you have to have like a full MUA, a full stylist, everything like that, but if you are doing it yourself, like when I used to be doing my makeup by myself, I still do my hair by myself sometimes if it's like my natural curly hair.
You doing your makeup was always on point anyway, by yourself.
See, it took me time. Like I would literally start getting ready. Oh my goodness, like I'm talking like 5 hours before a shoot. I'm doing hair and makeup because I know it needs to look really good and it takes time. So yeah, I mean,
I think that's really good advice for models as well. Hey, if you're not going to pay for a makeup artist or a hair, spend time. There's millions of YouTube videos that will tell you how to do your own makeup. And as a retoucher, you know, there's a big difference in the models who can do their own makeup and do it really well.
Yeah.
And the photos come out so much better.
Oh,
take pride. Essentially, it's just like take pride in what you do. Right? So I'm gonna switch gears a little bit. Did you watch our last episode?
Yes, I did.
And there was a couple items that you kind of had some opinions on.
Yeah.
In our last episode, if you haven't caught it, go ahead and take a look at it. We talked. Me and DJ Fresh. Shout out to Fresh. He has some opinions on. I'm gonna say this word wrong, I think, but polygyny, right? A guy who has multiple significant others, and it's sort of been floating around more and more often. I have opinion on it. I've heard girls talk about there's not a lot of good guys in Arizona, right? I've heard that, and that's why it's kind of floating around a little bit. I'm not in that realm. I'm not in that circle. I'm not into it. If my wife ever watches this isn't a shout out to that. I'm not looking for that.
No.
I have a hard enough time keeping up with her. So
yeah.
What is your opinion on that?
Okay, so I feel like I have lots of opinions, but like, so just final, like straightforward answer, I would not share my partner, whether that's my, but like full on share, like, okay, full on share. Like I would not like have a full girlfriend, definitely not multiple
sister wives living in the house.
Yeah, I could not and would not want to do it. I think a lot of people like, some people just like that, and then some people's justification is, well, like the money, because we do live in a day and age where, you know, it's
expensive now.
Yeah, you have to have like multiple jobs, almost both people, to live like comfortably and live like, depending on how you want to live, right? I'm kind of bougie, so I do like that lifestyle. So,
but could you imagine that you working full time, your dude's working full time, but you had a stay-at-home mom that's making dinner?
So that part sounds great, but then when I come home and she's laying on my man, no. And that's the thing. It's not a knock at them. I actually think people that like do like
to make it work.
Poly, like I think they are like I know some. They are some of the most strong-minded, mature. Like they communicate amazing. Like low-key, people who are like poly should like teach communication classes to like non-poly.
Because that's the only way you can make it work, right?
Yeah, you have to communicate. You have to like have really, really set like good trust, good boundaries. I like I said, I have no issue like if we're like, especially because as someone that's been married, like I kind of know how it is being married.
Go ahead and keep talking. I'm just going to fix that.
No worries. Yeah. I kind of know how it is like when you are married, especially for a long time, or being in long-term relationships. I pretty only much do long-term relationships. I don't do flings or anything like that. It's just never been my style. So I get like trying to spice things up. Like maybe you guys want to bring like a third in. I'm fine with that. I'm cool with that. As long as we talk about boundaries and have like, set expectations going into it. That type of like sharing is fine, but having like a full-on like sister wife, like there all the time, like we're raising our kids together, she is our partner, it doesn't intrigue me at all, to be honest with you, like at all. I can have someone come over and then do our do and then okay bye, like no, like I'll see you later, like that. Yeah, that's just me. I just can't do it. I'm just not into
Speaking of significant others, that was my wife
no.
checking in. Yeah. Yep. I think that's one of the biggest things in just in relationships in general. And you and I have talked deeply offline about our relationships, and the make or break is always communication.
Absolutely.
And me and Fresh also talked about, there's always the talk about, when you talk about poly, always the two girls. Nobody ever talks about, why is there not two guys?
Oh, so a girl having like two. I feel like people, it's just double standards in society. Like, men, first of all, and this is facts, mostly everything in our society is for the male gaze and for the male, like pleasure. And let's be honest, like, two guys and a girl, for most males, that's like not like even pleasurable to think about. I actually have a good friend, if she watches this, she'll know I'm talking about her. And she's actually striving for, like, she wants two husbands, and she will not settle. Like, that is what she's been this way since I've known her, for like years. And she understands that for that to work, she's probably gonna have to find like a bisexual man, and she's comfortable with that. And she's, I feel like everyone is like, sexuality is like such like a, for some reason like taboo topic, and I don't really get why. I think more people should just be open about it. I feel like we would have less cheating and less like quite literally a lower divorce rate if people would just be more open about like their like sexuality, their sexual needs, and be straight up front. So going into like what you can expect with the person. You know what I mean? And I think the two guys thing is a big part of that. Like, a lot of men are like, well, oh no, that's horrible, like, that's not okay, but then having two wives is okay.
Yeah.
I think that's just another society standard where people do everything normally for like male pleasure, and don't, sometimes like female pleasure can just like not matter as much, which is sad. It should still matter.
Right. Yeah, he had a very similar answer, and the other answer, which I also understood, was, you have to be okay with them being bi, and for a lot of women, they may not be okay with it. And I'm not saying they're homophobic, but a lot of women look to the man for the leadership in the household. Yeah,
that would be my reasoning for not being able to have like two like men, would be because I would expect them to be into each other. And just for me and my personal, like, what I'm into, like, I'm a very like alpha dominant like person, like, naturally. So with my partner, like, I don't want to have to be like that. Like, I want to like be submissive to like my male partner. And so for me, I just wouldn't be like attracted to that situation.
Right, and that's kind of what he said, and that's probably mostly true.
Yeah.
And the other item I wanted to talk about is, thing going around is high value, right? High value men, high value women. As you would consider, and most people would consider you as a high value woman, right?
I'd say all but one. Continue though.
Most people would say that. Before we get into this, we are going to take a quick break. We like to take breaks so we can stretch. We'll be right back. Welcome back. So we were just talking about high value women, high value men, and it's kind of a hot topic nowadays. And so I think most would consider you a high value woman, right? People may not know, but you still work a full-time, real job. You work for the, can I say it?
Yeah, I work for the government. I work for the Air Force.
Right. So, and that's a regular 9 to 5, and plus everything else that you do. You have your own money, you have your own place, you have your own things, you have your own investments, and you're still making moves. Do you think that you could ever seriously date somebody who didn't have all those things?
No. I'm gonna be straight up and blunt with you. At this point, especially, I feel like my situation plays a big part in that. I feel like when you've gone through a marriage and it didn't work out, like, my whole mindset on what I'm looking for now is so different. So different. I refuse to, like, and I don't know if settle is the right word. Like, I'm not saying I settled before at all, but I refuse to not have someone who's on the complete same wavelength as me. Now, when it comes to money, I'm not saying that person has to have like crazy, like buku money or anything like that. But at this point in my life, because I do have a child now, I would not be with someone that at least wasn't like money minded, money oriented, and like striving to like, you know, and that doesn't have to be like their own business. It can be someone that wants to have a 9-to-5, but that 9-to-5 needs to be like a legitimate 9-to-5. You know what I mean? I'm really big on like education. Like I'm about to have my master's. You know, like I'm big on all that. So I want someone that is developing, like self-developing in some way, shape, or form, and then also someone that gets me and understands me, and in the sense of like how I hustle. Like I am a hustler, like absolutely. My dad was a hustler, my mom is a hustler, so like I'm like that from my parents, and I would want for like my hopefully one day children, to be like that. So I would want my partner to also have that like hustler mindset. Like I don't want to just work a 9-to-5. Like I want to have like multiple streams of income, but I also want to, you know, enjoy life, like travel, have fun, whether that's with family or with not. Like I want them to understand my social media, why I do what I do. Like it's really important to me.
Do you think that the average guy could handle that?
No.
Why do you?
I personally don't think I'm an easy woman to like be full, if you're saying full on married to. I don't think I am, and I just say that in the sense of like I have a lot of different parts to me, and maybe that's me kind of downplaying myself, saying it wouldn't be easy, because I think that I do know how to play both roles. But so again, I'm an open book. I'll use my past marriage as an example. You know, if you're with someone that really wants a housewife, like really just wants a housewife, I think that you can play both roles. I most definitely know how to play both roles, how to have the laundry done, and how to, you know, have dinner made and lunches packed, and to be like the mom and you know, the nurturer. But at the same time, I also know how to and want to, like I want to be like a hustler. I like being a hustler. I like working. I like kind of having like that busy lifestyle. Can it be hard to juggle? Yes, but I enjoy it. So I think that I would need to be with someone, like I said, that gets it. Like if you just want me to like be in the house all the time, and you know, some people genuinely want a calm life. Like some people genuinely want to like come home every day after their 9-to-5, like give each other a hug and kiss. It's a calm life. Like yeah, you go on vacations, but you know, like really go out like that. Maybe date night here or there. Like you have like 4 or 5 kids. You're in the house.
4 or 5 kids.
Really? Like
I was thinking that's sort of like my life until it said 4 or 5 kids.
Well, maybe that. You know, you're in the house, but then some people like, let me think, like a Cardi B. They like that fast life. I'm not saying I would like to be at her level, but I like you know, being okay. Monday through Friday, I'm hustling. I'm making money. I'm a mom when I have to be a mom. On the weekends, in the daytime, that's mommy time. Like, you know, go out, go to the park, spend time with your kids, with your significant other, your spouse. But at night, like no, like I like to like there's babysitters for a reason. Like, and I stand by that. Like I feel like just because you, especially as women, like it is hard. Like it is really hard. You just feel like your life is over when you have a kid. Like, at least I did. I felt like I'm in the house now. Like this is my role. Like I'm a mom. You know, I was doing photo shoots, but I wasn't really like living, like getting like life experiences. As to where now, I still I still am a mother, and I feel like I'm a great mother. Like my son is well taken care of. We spend time together. But you know, once it gets around bedtime, like I'm going out and I'm doing things and I'm making experiences, and I'm traveling, whether that's him coming with me or him being with his grandparents for a little bit. Like I'm still living my life because, you know, I feel like that's important. We just like have kids and get married and everything else just shuts off. And,
right.
And that's not healthy.
I think a lot of, you know, people and me even early on as a dad, you feel that guilt for having a life. But I think, you know, especially in co-parenting situations, that when it's the other parent's time to have, like for my son, when it's his mom has him, that's my break, right? I'm gonna do me. when I have him, then I have him, and that's as a lot more people out there co-parenting. I think it's important to know, like, you're okay doing, like I think you said, that this is the other parent's time to have the son, and now it's time to do you, right? And I think a lot of parents need to realize that it's okay to need breaks from your kids. There's groups on Facebook called Asshole Parents, and it's hilarious because your kids are, it's a great group, by the way. It's just like, your kids can be a pain in the ass, right? And that's okay to feel that way. I mean, like, I've said, told my son's mom, he's being an asshole. Like, he's, what I mean? Like, and that's okay to feel those things, because it doesn't change the way you feel about them.
I think that's why so many marriages do fail, though, is because people, whether you have one kid or you have, like I said, have 5 kids, and I see it every day. I see it all the time. You would not believe when I came out publicly and said that, like, my marriage at that point failed. We were no longer together. I mean, I got hundreds, I'm not kidding, hundreds of DMs from other women like this is me, like, I feel like this, like, I some of them were like, I want to leave, some of them are like, I don't want to leave, but I don't know what to do. They're like, how do I not have this happen to me? Because they thought that mine was so perfect, because again, Instagram, everything's perfect, and they were shocked when they saw, like, it was not perfect. And I think a thing that people don't do, and something that I think that was my previous, we did was too late at that point, was like, you have to make time, like, for each other. Like date nights should be like a super regular thing. Like, putting the baby or the kids or whatever it is to bed early should be a regular thing. Traveling without the kids should be a thing. Like, I feel like people look down upon that, and
they feel guilty. And
yeah,
I know we do. We will, like,
I do too still sometimes.
A great story. We were supposed to be taking, me and my wife, we're going to take our daughter and our son to the movies. And they're both to the age, thankfully, now that they can stay home by themselves. But we're going to go see Eternals. And they're like, both of them were dragging their feet. And we're going to go out to dinner, then go out to the movies. And they're in their rooms being teenagers. And like, we don't want to go. And we're like, if you guys don't want to go, to say you don't want to go. They're like, we don't want to go. We're like, deuces. And we just left. We did ourselves. Like, we went out, eat dinner, and we watched a movie, and it was a good movie. And I think a lot of parents need to come to that realization that it's okay to take care of yourselves, because marriage is hard.
It's literally the hardest thing I've ever done.
Yeah, it's
be married.
It is a hard thing, in that it takes both people working really. And I'm not a marriage counselor. I'm not an expert in marriage by any stretch of the imagination. Me and my wife, we work on it constantly. We check in with each other, and those are things that help. Like, I check in, hey, are you good? Are you, is there anything that I can do? And the other thing, I think, when you were going through all of your things before you guys actually decided to make it quits, we had talked about that, like learning your love language and doing all these types of marriage counseling, and unfortunately for you, is you're already rounding that corner.
Yeah.
That I think you were already mentally checked out at that point.
Yeah.
But before it gets to that point, you don't have to be going through shit to go to marriage counseling.
No, I think everybody should. I will not. Let me tell you, if y'all watching this, wherever you're watching it at, and you think that you have me on your list of women you want to marry, I will not get married again. Like, counseling is a must. We will be in counseling for minimum, like, I'm not kidding, like, minimum, like, half a year.
Yeah.
Like, 6 full months of counseling where we're going, like, regularly. I will not get married unless a man agrees to do that, because I refuse to, like, go through this again. Like, divorce is, like, I would not wish it on my worst enemy. It's difficult on everybody, especially the child or the children. And yeah, I think counseling is, like, so underrated. Like, I think everyone should. It should be like in the Catholic Church. They have to go through that before they get married. I kind of wish that should be for everybody, especially when you get married so young, because you were young for your first marriage too, right?
For my first one, yeah.
Yeah. See, and so like I was, I was like was I 19 or 20? I think I was. Still
I wasn't
19.
that young, but I was 23.
Yeah, I know. I had turned. I was 20. I was 20 when I got married, and 21 when I had my child. And mind you, especially like joining the military at 17, and like I did not know who I was. Like I didn't know who I was. I still don't know who I am. I'm still working towards that. But like you change so much, especially when you get married young. I feel like even when you're older, yes, you're changing, but especially if you like find your person young, like you guys, I just feel like counseling and communication, because you're gonna change. You should change. If you're not changing, like what are you doing with your life? It's like.
Yep. I will say I don't put my relationship out like you do. You know what I mean? Each his own, right? Mostly because she's not on social media like that.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And she works in healthcare, and it's important for her to stay squeaky clean. But every marriage goes through a rough patch, and we went to marriage counseling, and a lot of people don't know that, but we did. And it was the greatest thing that we've ever did, honestly. I mean, it changed our marriage. And because we were loving each other the wrong way, we were loving each other how we personally thought that they wanted to be loved, and that's usually not the case. So we learned each other's love language, and and make an effort all the time to tell the person that I appreciate you. And people think it's cheesy to say, "Hey, I appreciate what you do," and yes, they know, and you know that you're doing it on purpose but who cares? Like, you know what I mean? Like, if she'll make an effort and say, "Hey, I appreciate what you do. I know you work hard. I know this is the things that you do. I appreciate you." And yes, I know she's doing that because that's my love language, but I don't care, right? And I think that's a lot of, even people who are just dating or have boyfriends and girlfriends, one, don't lose yourself, right? Just still have your own friends and do you, but also realize that, if you want to make that effort to take that relationship long, that you got to think about what they want, what they need, their love languages and stuff. I mean, neither one of us are marriage experts. Don't base your whole marriage on anything that we have say.
Because obviously we suck in the first ones at least. So I mean, goddamn.
Right.
Yeah, I mean, I think that says a lot about you guys, though, about your love, and especially you. I mean, it's on the woman too, especially like it's both ways. Especially you as the man. I feel like so many men will not go to counseling, will not go to therapy. Like they think it's like a slap at like their like masculinity or something. But I think like the fact that you went says a lot about your character, because I don't know. Like sometimes I think about okay, what would have happened if like my partner would have said yes, year 2 of being married to go to counseling. You know? Like I wonder.
I think that I think what it is a lot of men, their pride gets in the way.
Yeah.
Right. They worried about what other men are going to think, or what other people are going to think, or whatever. And they're afraid to be like, the analogy of getting down and washing her feet or whatever, right? Who's going to see me wash my wife's feet? Who the fuck cares?
It's your wife.
It's what I mean. That's who, in all likelihood. And me and her have had this discussion because I'm 6 years older than her, and women live longer than men. I said in all likelihood, she's going to be taking care of me when I'm old, right? That says something. Like, who cares about pride, and who cares if that's your woman? You know what I mean? Like, there's been times that her heel came unbuckled in the middle of a club, and she'll ask me to fix it. I'll get down on my knee and fix her fucking shoe. In the middle, it doesn't matter, because all that matters is how they see you, right? That's the person who's going to be taking care of you, and at the end, you know what I mean?
Yeah, no, for sure. I think we live in a time when people don't value marriage nowadays. People don't value marriage. They don't value
it's hard. And
they don't value that is your wife, or that is your husband, or that is your committed person. And I think part of it is people marrying the wrong people. I literally do think that people marrying the wrong people, rushing. I rushed a lot. Rushing, not marrying the right people, and then when you're in the marriage, you don't know or half don't want to be like a solid husband or wife, and then you don't really know like what like a strong like marriage is. A lot of people don't have good like role models to marriage either.
Yeah.
You know.
I think with that, we may have to do an episode 2 of
Yeah.
Bree. But I did want to give Bree an opportunity to shout out what we did a photo shoot today.
Yeah.
Shout out them, shout out whoever you want, your brand, your Instagram, your YouTube, your TikToks.
Yeah, no,
what else do you
sure.
got?
Just,
do you still do Vines?
no Vines. No, yeah. Thank you for having me on your
Yeah.
podcast. I appreciate it because, like I said, yeah, I've definitely watched Marcel, like, man, like, transform, like, from when I first met you to now. Like, you have really, like, leveled up. And I feel like we both had a year of, like, a hard year for one of us, but both of us, actually, but a year of, like, really leveling up in terms of, like, our craft, you know? So,
Right.
yeah, thank you for having me again. Yeah, my Instagram is at official Brie Hightower. I am Briana, which is Briana Hightower on YouTube. I do have a pretty solid YouTube following as well. And then TikTok, Brie_XOXO. I just hit 10K on there, so finally.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
And you had a viral video.
Yeah, I had my first like real viral. I actually did go viral 2 months ago. It had 1.1 million, but it was my breakup. It was my divorce video. So I don't talk about that one, but I had my first happy viral moment. I've just hit 2 million views on a video, so that is like bringing in a ton of followers right now. But yeah, so those are my platforms, and I do have like I said, a team of people. Today we shot for Curves and Combat Boots. That's like my biggest brand deal that I have. So shout out to Curves. We shot for them, so you guys will see those pictures.
And they do have things for men.
Yes, they do.
And they had a buy one get one, and I bought their joggers, and I'm gonna tell you, those things are so comfortable. They're so comfortable. I bought some of their shorts, but their joggers are so comfortable for men. So check out Curves. Like
CNC Apparel is like the name, but yeah, Curves and Combat Boots, CNC Apparel. But yeah, they're awesome. So that's definitely like my biggest. I'm an athlete with them, and they're a great company. They're veteran owned, veteran ran, and great people. So we shot for them. And I will shout out, you know, my team. Like I said, I have at this point a team. So again, Angel Bria MUA, that's my makeup artist, and then I have two stylists, Expressions by Giovanna, and then I have G the stylist. So those are my two. Yeah, that's who makes me literally behind the scenes into what I am. So yeah, thank you, you know, to everyone that follows me and supports me, especially if you do follow me, you know what I've been going through, and I just really appreciate all of you for sticking with the shit show. So
all right, with that, we are going to sign out. Appreciate everybody who's going to watch the video. Appreciate everybody who's live for checking us out. We may have to do an episode 2 at some point.
Yeah, for sure.
All right, guys, thank you.